welcome to another episode of What the Why with Barbara Ann on RVN Television. If you haven't seen us before, our show features diverse conversations with diverse leaders from all walks of life about why they do what they do and how they figured things out. Maybe at some point you felt stuck and you wanted to get unstuck, or maybe you're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, whether that's in your personal life or your business or your company. One thing that all of our guests have in common with you is that at some point in their lives, they felt similarly and they decided to do something about it. And today's guest, who's also not a stranger, is back to join us, and he can relate. He felt similarly to you at one point as well and decided to do something about it. Just to do a quick recap, our returning guest is Jose Gonzalez, the Wealth Mindset Coach and host of the Wealth Mindset Podcast. Also known as Mr. Wealth Mindset, he's an author, financial mindset coach, serial entrepreneur, and inspirational speaker whose exceptional communication skills allow him to connect with people from all walks of life. A former chef and graduate of the French Culinary Institute, Jose possesses over 20 years of experience as an executive chef, hospitality consultant, and corporate trainer. And he has successfully engineered high-level events and campaigns for brands such as Pepsi, Fendi, BMI, and Camarena Tequila. He is the former executive chef of 10 Degrees Bar in NYC's East Village and Harlem's 67 Orange Street Bar, and he also spearheaded the successful relaunch of the historic Anchor Spa in New Haven, Connecticut. If you watched our previous episode, and if you didn't, you better go back and watch it, he was very successful as a chef as well as an entrepreneur, but he had a struggle that he faced. They were personal challenges with his health and weight. He struggled with obesity and other inflammatory metabolic conditions that were impacting his life, and everything changed when he discovered the ketogenic diet. He went on to help first of all, he lost 100 pounds in 5 months, and he helped hundreds of other people lose thousands of pounds and earned the moniker the Keto Master Chef. He published a book in 2018, and he and his wife have done dozens of live cooking shows on YouTube as well as in-person cooking master classes. In 2020, however, with the impact of the pandemic looming over everyone's head and coupled with his lifelong interest in finance and investing, Jose pivoted his business focus to financial literacy and education. Believe it or not, when you're working with people that are struggling with their weight and you're working with people who are struggling with their finances, there's a lot of commonalities there. He's been quoted as saying, "I believe that financial education is the civil rights movement of our time," and he nailed it with that statement. His personal health transformation experience helped him transform other people's health, but also brought him to the stark realization that the same thing that keeps people living an unhealthy lifestyle is the same thing that keeps people financially destitute, and that's mindset. He moved forward with creating impact and helping people transform their lives as a financial mindset coach and wealth strategist. In that role, he can empower people looking to overcome the stress of financial hardships and economic turmoil by guiding them on eliminating those stubborn limiting beliefs surrounding money and teaching them sound investment strategies. And as I mentioned in our last episode, his latest book, Stay Broke, How to Overcome the Limiting Beliefs That Keep People Broke, will be released in July 2023. And he also has a new podcast, the Wealth Mindset Podcast, which debuts April 11th at 7 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That podcast is going to delve into the intersection of faith, finances, and relationships to help Christian men and others become the best versions of themselves. And he will lead insightful conversations with experts in their respective fields, as well as real-life stories to help men navigate the challenge of mindset, money, and marriage. Again, I'm really excited he's joining us in the studio for the second of 2 parts. So without further ado, please join me in giving another round of applause for Jose Gonzalez. So, yay!
Thank you. I'm excited to be back.
So for those who are going to be watching this episode in reverse, can you please very briefly recap what is it that you wanted to be when you were growing up?
Absolutely. Growing up, what I wanted to be was Batman. And as we touched on previously, there's a lot of reasons around that. But for me, it was about, being able to have a life of impact that was where I was committed to improving the lives of others. I think that service is, it's really our purpose in life, especially as children of God.
Mm-hmm. And truly, you have been in service. I mean, from there, you found your way into cooking, and you became a celebrated chef. If you can talk just briefly a little bit about that as well for those who haven't seen the first episode yet.
Yeah, so my passion and love for cooking was nurtured from my intimate relationship with my mom growing up, cooking with her in the kitchen, seeing the impact that it had when people came together for meals. It's such a part of our culture and like the staple of pretty much every gathering. And so that's kind of where that developed. And I started off in one particular career path, being music publishing. But I did go to culinary school with the hopes of being a chef for my friends and family. And I worked freelance for a lot of caterers, and I worked as a private chef for myself. I've always been entrepreneurial, so as soon as I came out of culinary school, I was catering. And being in New York at that time, it was very easy to to get clients and build up a name for myself. And I wound up falling into the professional career, becoming an executive chef at several places in New York, working with major brands, on big catering events, and so it became a big part of my professional identity for a long time.
And then your mom had some health issues.
Correct.
And that woke you up to your own.
Absolutely.
And you realized that if you were going to be there for your amazingly beautiful wife and family members, you were going to have to make some changes.
Absolutely. I struggled with health and weight. Like you mentioned, I was diabetic, had other metabolic inflammatory conditions. And I had yo-yo diet like many people do right over time, where I had lost some weight, then I ballooned again, lost some weight, gained more than the previous. But when my mother suffered one of 3 major strokes, it was really an eye-opener for me to kind of start to take a look at, what's the potential end game in my own life, what does that look like, and to what extent am I responsible for that outcome. So that really took me down that rabbit hole of being focused on health. After trying a few things, I discovered, the keto lifestyle, and I was able to lose 100 pounds in 5 months. Subsequently, going back to wanting to live a life of service and helping others, I started a brand and business around that, around health and wellness, was able to help hundreds of people lose thousands of pounds, and also reverse and prevent other metabolic diseases that people deal with, like hypertension, diabetes, on and on. So that was very gratifying, but it was all, kind of instigated by my own personal health journey.
Right. And as part of that journey, you learned some very important lessons in terms of what causes people to get stuck and not be able to get out of their own way when it comes to weight loss. Absolutely.
So it's one of those things that was on the surface of my mind for a long time, but it this kind of really brought it to light. And I came to the realization, because it's true, that people's lives, for better or worse, are a product of their mindset, right? Of their set of accepted beliefs. And as I went down that road of helping people overcome health issues, and all sorts of things, I realized that what was keeping people back from transforming themselves, transforming their health, transforming their current reality, was the fact that they had these adopted sets of beliefs, that they wanted to adhere to, right? Because it's part of their identity, it's part of their culture. And so, what I realized is that anything is possible, but it all starts in the mind, right? It all starts in the mind. And once I was able to come upon that realization, I was able to learn the tools to transform my life and then to help other people do the exact same thing.
And the key, and you pointed it out, and we've said it over and over again, in case you all didn't catch it, mindset. You know, and sometimes when I'm involved in coaching, we call it big T, little t. You know, what is an actual universal truth, and then what's something that you've accepted as being a truth. Whether that is from a health standpoint, my whole family's big boned, you know, or I can pray it away, so in time God will take care of it. But the other thing that you realized is this isn't just limited to weight. This applies to so many other things, including how we handle our finances.
Absolutely. So, you know, finance, economics, investing has always been a big kind of like hobby, a field of interest for me. And so even though I had a career in one sector, I was always had on my radar what was happening in the areas of global macroeconomics, what's happening in our own country. And then, you know, in 2020, when the world changed, it really kind of, you know, shined a light on that, and I started to realize, you know, I was doing okay in my career. I hadn't yet hit my financial goals, but and I was okay with that because to a certain degree I was on pace to get there. But so many people were affected financially.
Yes.
So many people were literally crippled.
Yes.
You know, when we all got that pink slip and said, "Hey, go home for 2 weeks," right? AKA 2 years.
Yes.
All right. It showed us that, you know, and again, I study history. I've studied the Great Depression. I've studied so many pivotal times in history, especially in our country, but we have never experienced something like this, right? And it also revealed to me that's what's coming down the line. Is something that we as Americans, you know, absolutely need to be concerned with. And seeing how many people struggled and were impacted by that financially, I felt a deep call in, you know, not only to make it a focal point of my own life and business, but again, be able to serve other people and help them change. Because, like we said, you know, what keeps people, you know, financially deprived is their mindset, are those set of beliefs that they've accepted. A lot of people have misguided concepts about money, their relationship with money,
Yes.
a lot of misquotes, biblical misquotes
Yes.
on money. But at the end of the day, you know, Zig Ziglar said, you know, money's not the most important thing, but it's up there with oxygen, right?
Yes.
And it's kind of like, you know, no one ever thinks about oxygen, right? You never think about it until you don't have it, right? And it's the same way with money, right? When you don't have it, all you think about is money, right? If you had it in abundance, you wouldn't worry about it because you can do so many things, right? So again, it's not the most important thing, but it does allow you to not only to improve your own situation, but as well as live a life of contribution where you can help other people.
So we're going to talk more about that after, because here we are already at the half plate mark again. So please come back after this brief commercial break for more with What the Why with Barbara Ann and today's very special guest, part 2, Jose Gonzalez, the Wealth Mindset Coach. Welcome back to What the Why with Barbara Ann and today's special guest, Jose Gonzalez, the Wealth Mindset Coach. And as we were heading into the break, he was talking about, you know, the fact that what he learned in terms of what gets in people's way of successful weight loss applies to getting in the way of lots of other things, including their wealth.
Absolutely.
And how they view finances. And you're so right. I mean, money's important most important when you realize you don't have it. And we see that all the time. Businesses, you know, who seek financing, the worst time to go for a loan is when you actually need it. And how it affects credit, which of course is another huge component. So how do you work? I mean, because food is cultural, but financial safety is also significant. How do you work with someone who's got, you know, a limiting belief or if not even a poverty mindset?
Absolutely.
Around money and what they believe about money and what they should do with it?
Yeah, I love this question. So in either case, whether someone is looking to transform their health or someone is looking to transform their finances and improve their financial situation, it starts with their own personal willingness, right? So I cannot help anyone who's not unwilling. But, I would be remiss if I didn't make this connection. We talked about how food is, you learn culture is part of your upbringing. Your relationship with money is also part of your upbringing. And a lot of people's limiting beliefs were impressed upon them because of their parents, right? So it's like, we all know if someone's parents are rich and they grow up to be rich, you wouldn't be surprised. Well, the opposite is also true, okay? And people have been taught that loving money, pursuing money is bad, or you don't really need money, or money's not that important, or rich people are bad and evil, and the truth is that none of that is true. Okay, people are who they are, and money just allows you to be more of yourself. So if you are a person of poor character and you get money, everyone's gonna know how poor your character is, right? But the opposite is also true. So step one is someone being willing, okay? Because you see, this is what happened for me. When it came to health and keto, when I came into that lifestyle, I didn't know about keto, right? So I had to partner with other people who knew, and I had to learn. Okay, I had to learn. There's something called the teachability index, right? Which is your willingness to learn times your willingness to change. Right. So because I had that mindset, we're like, hey, listen, I don't know about this, but I'm willing to learn, and then when I learn, I'm going to apply it, right? Even though it goes against my nature, even though it goes against who I am. One thing that people fail to realize, it doesn't matter what goal you want to achieve. If you want to achieve something that is not part of your current existence, it requires you to become a new person. Okay? You cannot get the same result, new results, so people have to be willing. And then second, they have to find someone who has the result that they're looking for, okay? So similarly, when I, in health, once I got the information and I applied it, I lost 100 pounds in 5 months. Well, conversely, when I started to focus on investing and learning about money, I was able to create a 6-figure lifestyle in just a few months, okay? Now, those results may not be the same for everyone, all right? Same as someone may not lose 100 pounds in 5 months. But if you lose it, does it matter to you if it takes 6 or 8 months or 12, right? You're still gonna get to your goal, okay? So I tell people, say, oh, do you need to do what I did? No, you don't need to do what I did. But the bottom line is, first you need to be willing, understand that it can be done, and then find someone who's got the result that you're looking for, and they can teach you. Because if you're not willing to learn, if you're not willing to change, nothing's gonna happen.
Which is really fantastic advice for everybody out there who's watching, because there's a lot of people out there that profess to be experts that have not actually done what they profess to be experts in.
Absolutely.
So many people out there who call themselves financial experts that they themselves have had issues. And I suspect that you encounter that as well in your journeys.
Absolutely.
And, how do you help? Because now you've got the already pre-existing mindset, and then the absorption of the bad advice that never even tackled the mindset issue or tackled it in a completely incorrect way. How do you handle those kinds of challenges when they come up?
So, for me, it's about understanding what I am good at, okay? Now, my goal is to make 7 figures plus. I haven't done that yet, right? So if someone came to me and said, hey, I want to make 7 figures, I would tell them, I'm not the person to help you. You need to go find someone who's done that, and they can help you, right? And a lot of times, people feel that because they've had success in one arena, that they can help people on a broad scale, and that's where this whole, inauthenticity and imposter syndrome comes from, all right? I can only help people do what I've done thus far, right? When I get to 7 figures, the world will know, because I'll be out here saying I can help people get to 7 figures. So the way I tackle that is just being very transparent with people and saying, hey, listen, this is what I did to create this lifestyle. This is how I did it, right? And then at that point, you have to buy in, right? To give you a quick example, when I first partnered with one of my mentors, I said to him, what did you do exactly to achieve this result? And he told me exactly what he did to achieve that result. Now, here's the thing. Some of those things that he did not align with my values.
Okay.
Right? And so I was like, okay, I may or may not get his same result in that set amount of time, but I know I'm not willing to do those things. Okay? So again, I can tell someone, hey, this is what you need to do. That person has to look at themselves in the mirror and say, am I willing, right, to do it?
Yeah.
If you're not willing to do it, there's nothing I can do for you.
Yeah.
Okay, which is one reason that I try to, you know, as a Christian man, I'm very forthcoming with the fact that I help Christian men, right? Because I want people to understand that what I do as a business has a certain alignment.
Yeah.
Okay, and if someone is not in alignment, I may not be the best person to work with them. Okay, now again, in creating a six-figure lifestyle, that's kind of like a catchphrase that everyone uses.
Yes.
It's not easy, all right, and it doesn't mean that every month that you're making the kind of money that equates to six figures, but it means that you have radically changed where you are, and now you're on a trajectory to keep on growing.
Yeah.
You see, because wealth creation is not a get-rich-quick scheme.
It is not.
Okay, wealth creation is about learning what the wealthy do to create wealth, implementing that, and making it sustainable, creating habits around that, right? Because, you know, and I'd love to touch on this real quick. I'd love to give your audience 3 things that wealthy people do,
there.
all right? These are 3 things that wealthy people do, all right? And you can take this, you can run with it, and you can start building wealth. First of all, the wealthy have an emergency fund.
Yes.
Okay? So a lot of times, especially when the pandemic happened, people were messed up because they had no savings, right? You were not prepared for your job to lay you off, okay? So wealthy people have an emergency fund. You need to, if you want to build wealth, save up 6 months at least of your living expenses before you buy anything else. Before you take your kids to Disney, before you do anything, you need to get an emergency fund. Okay. The next thing that wealthy people do is that, you know, they don't spend. They buy assets.
Yes.
Okay. They buy assets. So what is an asset? An asset is something that makes you money. A lot of people will say to you, oh, well, buy your house. Your house is the biggest asset. If you own the deed, yes. But if the bank owns the deed, stop paying your mortgage and you're going to find out quickly who actually owns your house.
It can be your biggest liability.
Now, if you purchase a home and you're renting the house out and you're cash flowing it, then yes, it could be an asset. But if you're paying your mortgage every month, it is not an asset.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, and it kind of bleeds into it, is that stop making that. All right, that's the number 1 rule of wealth creation. Wealthy people stop trading time for money. All right, they make their money work for them, and they add value to as many people as possible. So sometimes people will say, "Oh, you know, I'm trying to grow my business. I'm on social media all the time. I'm posting all the time, but it's not working for me." Are you adding value?
Yes.
Okay, are you adding value, right? Gary Vaynerchuk talks about the ROI of a basketball, right? He says, a basketball in LeBron's hands, $1 billion. In my hands, negative, okay? Negative dollars, okay? So you need to understand that if what you do does not add value to other people, people are not going to want to use your product, service, or opportunity. You need to be able to teach somebody something, give them something that improves their life. You know, when I used to teach for a long time, I used to teach, you know, kids, adults, everyone how to cook. My mom would say to me a lot of times, we spent all this money for you to culinary school, and you're just teaching people for free. And I would tell her, if Michael Jordan taught me how to dunk, that would not make me Michael Jordan. The fact that I teach other people does not diminish what I do.
Right.
They don't have these hands. They can't do what I do, okay? But in business, you need to bring value to other people. You need to be able to show them something, teach them something where they say, oh man, yeah, I want to be partnered with you. Bobby Flay's been on TV for 20 years. cooking every single day. He has 8 different episodes. No one ever goes to a Bobby Flay restaurant and says, we don't have to go to his restaurant because we can just watch his show and do it for free, right?
Yeah.
He's giving you value, and because of that, you know he's an authority in that space.
Right. And that is the perfect note on which to end. We are at time. I'm like, wow, we could probably do a 3rd episode. Maybe someday we'll have you back. But more importantly, what you really want to do is check out his upcoming launch of his podcast, The Wealth Mindset Coach, which premieres again on...
So the podcast will be available as a video podcast on YouTube on my channel, Mr. Wealth Mindset, and then also be on all the platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere that you listen to your podcast. It's the Wealth Mindset Podcast.
And it premieres when?
It premieres April 11th, 7 a.m. Eastern Daylight
Time. So for our viewers in California and some of the states actually that don't, California does have daylight savings time, but we've got some viewers in states that don't. So remember, daylight savings time on the East Coast. So thank you so much, both for being a guest on our previous episode as well as this one. And what are some other ways that people can connect with you in addition to the podcast information?
Absolutely. So you can follow me on social media, on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, at Mr. Wealth Mindset. That's MR Wealth Mindset. And if you want to connect with me directly, you can email me at info@thewealthmindsetpodcast.com.
All right. So thank you again, Jose, for being here and sharing some really valuable instant information that people can take away and start changing their mindsets today. Me too. Thank you again for tuning in. I'm not going to be announcing, we've changed our taping schedule a little bit. So our next episode is going to be taped a couple of weeks from now. And so I'm still in the process of finalizing my guests, and we'll let you know online as soon as we have that information. Please rest assured you don't want to miss what any of our guests have to say. And as for our past guests, all of Season 1 as well as Season 2 of What the Why with Barbara Ann to date are available on RVNTelevision.com as well as Roku. You can find us on Amazon. I believe we're on some other platforms, and we're coming soon to additional platforms. You have so many viewing choices. So many viewing choices. So thank you very much for watching our show, and please remember to tell a friend or colleague about us. As a reminder, What the Why airs on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and Monday evenings at afternoon at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And it's also available on demand through RVN Television and Roku and other platforms, usually within 48 to 72 hours of when we first air live. And also, please remember, whether you are looking to make changes in your life or career or company, big or small, please join us again for more inspirational and informative conversations with guests like Jose, who wanted to make changes, saw opportunities, saw the need, filled the need, overcame whatever challenges, real or perceived, may have been in their paths to find their purpose and live it.